A relationship with the right referral partner could be a game changer for any B2B company. So what if you could reverse engineer these relationships at a moment's notice? Start a podcast, invite potential referral partners to be guests on your show, and grow your referral network faster than ever. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Hey, because you're listening to this show, I know that you already understand how important the customer experience is. And you probably understand that it's made up of every single touch point that a customer or future customer might have with any of your people, any of your collateral, your website, all of these various places they can interact with you. And the customer experience is comprised of the thoughts, feelings, and stories that they're left with after those interactions. So we need to work together throughout the entire organization, from sales to marketing to CS, from the front desk to the C-suite, to do this in an aligned, intentional, and holistic way. It's the best way to differentiate our businesses, and it's the best way to grow our businesses. My name is Ethan Beute. I host the Customer Experience Podcast, and I co-host the B2B Growth Show. Specifically, I host the CX series on the show. And in this short episode, I'm going to offer to you a very valuable resource that I recently came in touch with. So recently, I went to New York City with one of our co-founders at BombBomb, Darren Dawson, who, by the way, is a previous guest here on the show, and the gentleman I've had the privilege of working longer with than any other professional in my entire career. So we headed to New York to the Unleash Summit series from Outreach. Awesome company. We have a great software integration with them, really sharp team, great product, growing very quickly, good people. So we went to their event and they offered an executive breakfast. Now, Darren and I didn't really know what that breakfast was going to be about, but hey, it's breakfast and it's probably going to be fun and interesting and educational. We'll probably meet a couple cool people. All of that happened. But when we got there, we realized it was one of those kind of soft edu-sales pitches. And interestingly, I could not have been any happier about it. Typically, when you get into these experiences, you say, oh, I see what's coming. In this case, the host of the breakfast opened it up by fielding 15 or 20 minutes of questions to provide value, demonstrate his expertise, and to get emotional and cognitive buy-in from the 30 or so people in the room. And he did a masterful job of it. This guy's name is Jocko Vanderkoy. He's with Winning by Design. They consult SaaS companies like ours and are advancing an evolution of the sales and CS process called the SaaS Sales Method. So what I'm going to do here is share a few key points and then send you off maybe to order a book or check out their YouTube channel, which of course is absolutely free and loaded with value. Now, if you've seen Jocko present before, you've probably recognized that he's got a very distinct style of presentation. I find it engaging, but even if you don't, you have to value the content. It's so good. Who is it relevant to? In their own words, it's anyone who works with customers. I'm going to quote them from one of the books that I've read. Everyone in the organization must sell all the time. They must work to uncover and realize more business impact for the customer all the time. So every employee, all the time, for the benefit of the customer. Sounds a lot like customer experience to me. Another quote, the SaaS Sales Method offers a new uniform methodology for all customer-facing roles in businesses with a recurring revenue model. Of course, we know the recurring revenue model is far beyond SaaS. So many business models are going recurring. So even if you're not in a software company, this applies to you. And for those customer-facing roles, they include but are not limited to marketing, prospecting, selling, customer success, and account management. The approach is very anti-silo, and I see this as foundational to my view of customer experience. One of the reasons I host the show and enjoy it so much is that I'm looking to create that alignment, learn how other people are doing it well, so we can tear down those silos a little bit and work more cross-functionally, all for the benefit of the customer. So this information is relevant to anyone who works with customers. What's the goal of this method? It is, in their words, to standardize the entire customer-facing relationship. It's all about process rather than people. As we scale our businesses, the problems that we tend to face are almost always process-based, and we typically rely on superstars, people, to bail us out of them. Leaning on superstars is awesome, but what it does is allow us to delay the refinement of our processes. And our processes must be repeatable and data-driven. We have to spend time standardizing, and again, in their words, the entire customer-facing relationship so that what we're doing at small or medium scale is going to be very cost-effective at large scale. These processes can't be built soon enough, and we cannot rely exclusively on people to be successful, especially at scale. Finally, what's the challenge here? It's constantly showing the impact of the solution we provide in a way that is coordinated and ongoing. We need to constantly be delivering impact and evolving and expanding the impact that we're providing for our customers. SaaS, of course, changes the revenue relationship. Most of the revenue and actually most of the profitability is going to come after the commitment to our company from the buyer side, right? It used to be that you'd sell the product and you sold it at a margin such that it was immediately profitable. So you take that revenue and take that profit. Recurring revenue relationships put a lot of the revenue that we're going to collect and ultimately the profitability on the backside of that commitment, right? So we're creating awareness, we're educating, we're helping people select us, and then they're making that commitment. Back in the day, that commitment or the close was what business was all about. Here, that's just the first big hurdle in an ongoing relationship. Retention, cross-sell, upsell, expansion. This is where the relationship becomes profitable, especially when you factor in not just the cost of acquisition, but also the cost to serve. So what do they mean by impact? Impact is usage, it's value, it's ultimately return on the buyer's investment in your product or service. We need to constantly show the impact in a coordinated and ongoing way. We need to find the moments that matter to the customer, identify those, and over-deliver in those moments. So those are just a few really high-level takeaways from my initial engagement with this content. There are a number of books and even playbooks. I highly recommend starting with Sales as a Science. If you just Google Winning by Design or Jocko van der Kooi, you're going to find these books. If you want a no-cost, no-risk way to get involved immediately, they have a really powerful YouTube channel. You're going to find at least one or two playlists there that you're going to find value in. They update every single week. Just search Winning by Design in YouTube or check out winningbydesign.com. Of course, I'm not paid to say any of this. I just had a great experience on the spot with those folks. I met several of their team members, checked out some of the YouTube videos, read a couple of the books, and found it really, really valuable in this ongoing and evolving customer experience conversation. How do we create alignment, be intentional, and take a holistic approach to creating and delivering better experiences for our customers? That's what this podcast is all about. I would love for you to subscribe. Just search the Customer Experience Podcast in your favorite podcast player. If you have the time, patience, and inclination, I'd love for you to give it a rating or even a review. My name is Ethan Beute. You can hit me up on LinkedIn. I welcome the connection, and I thank you so much for listening.
We totally get it. We publish a ton of content on this podcast, and it can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we've started the B2B Growth Big Three, a no-fluff email that boils down our 3 biggest takeaways from an entire week of episodes. Sign up today at sweetfishmedia.com/big3. That's sweetfishmedia.com/big3.